Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer, Logan Landers, and join me here this afternoon to talk about the 2025 NFL Draft prospect, Terrance Ferguson, the tight end coming out of Oregon. Helping me out today is Brian LaBelle. Brian, first off, man, how you doing on this Tuesday afternoon? And secondly, what are your thoughts on Terrance Ferguson, a guy who got a lot of eyeballs on him this year, of course, being with Oregon, a team who was undefeated up till they met the buzzsaw in the Ohio State Buckeyes, who of course, ended up winning it all. But Terrance was a big part in their success. And what did you learn about this young man while you're doing your scouting tapes on him?
He's very quick after his yards after catch is spectacular. He's very quick. He's a lot short intermediate stuff. He's not really a deep threat, which maybe at a next level kind of, an NFL talent, you want your 6'5" guy to be able to go vertically a little bit. But a lot of it too, that wasn't really Oregon's offense. They're very much so, hey, get it to our playmakers in space, let them, create yards after the catch, which is that's a staple of a lot of your college offenses now. And he fit right in. I think, if you ask Dylan Gabriel, I think, hey, he's a 6'5" target. He's pretty quick. He's got good hands. You can't really ask for much else. The blocking is, it's not quite there. But in that offense, you don't really have a lot of showcasing when it comes to blocking. But I mean, he put up good numbers and he played his best ball against the best teams that they went up against. So I think as far as a red zone target, though, having a guy who's 6'5", who's quick like that, who's got good hands, an NFL team is going to look at it and say, hey, that's not a bad thing to have, at least as a tight end too, maybe a guy you can get later on in the draft. I'm not going to necessarily put him as a steal, but I mean, he can play, and you can't teach 6'5". That's just something in his framework. He uses his body well. He's good at eluding defenders, which he's getting around faster DBs for what I was seeing. He's taken, screen passes and short little routes and turned them into 30, 40-yard games in some instances, which is that's rare. To be able to do that at a collegiate level or any level is good, and he showcased that.
Yeah, whenever I looked at Terrance Ferguson, and the thing I noticed with all of his numbers, because he played all 4 years at Oregon, right? He came out, started as a freshman, so he played all 4 years, but he was consistent all throughout. I mean, there was, there was never one huge season where it's like, oh man, like look, he had 800 yards or anything crazy like that, or he had 15 touchdowns or whatnot. He didn't have any seasons like that, but he was consistent all throughout. And he worked his way up, right? He had not a huge workload early on, but you saw season by season it increased more, and that he just became that kind of go-to target if you need a catch, or if you need a first down. Because let's also not forget that Oregon's had a hell of a lot of good receivers over the years. So some of the catches and whatnot have to go to the other guys as well. But looking at this year, he had 43 catches, a career high, also career high in yards at 591, career high in average per catch at 13.7, and he had 3 touchdowns on the year. Now, something I learned about him, about Terrance, is that he had such a good season, in fact, that he set an Oregon record for most total catches. He had 134 in his career. So, I mean, I was surprised by that, by him just kind of setting that mark. And like I said, he's someone who you wouldn't think of, but he got it, and he did that. So props to him for doing that. He had 125, right? Set the record for that. And also touchdown receptions by a tight end. So, yeah, while they weren't a whole lot by season, overall, he amassed a really good career at Oregon. And like I said, he's got a good mix of everything. Like I said, the blocking is kind of, subpar, but look, you can learn blocking. I don't think it's too difficult to learn that at the next level, when guys and teams are just looking to score points in bunches. But if he can improve his run blocking, his pass blocking a little bit, I'm not worried about his offensive ability. He's got good hands. You don't see him drop a lot of passes. He didn't miss a whole lot of games either. He was relatively healthy throughout his career. He's got solid speed. He's got, a pretty good athletic build to him at 6'5", around 250, 255, give or take. And someone who his draft stock is just kind of going up and up. It was this year, obviously, with all eyes on him, since, like I said, they didn't lose a game till they were in the college football playoffs. But I like this guy. I think he is I don't think he's a first-round talent per se, but I think this is a guy who's going to be a day 2 pick. I think that he has a lot of good intangibles. And honestly, Brian, what I see is if there is like a team out there that has an aging tight end, like coincidentally, right? The Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Both of them have older tight ends because we know Travis Kelsey and Dallas Goedert, they're not the youngest anymore. But if you draft a young guy like Terrance Ferguson, take him under your wings. I mean, that could spell a lot of hurt for a lot of defenses over the next couple of years if he just learns under someone. But I think he'll definitely be a day 2 pick. I do believe he could be a starter. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I can envision that scenario of him going to a team that has a good tight end already, him learning under that team, that guy, and then him kind of eventually breaking off doing his own thing. I could definitely see that too. But I like this guy. He's got really good physical just talents. Can catch the ball. I mean, he can do anything you need. Basically, he's just that dependable player that you need on your team. And hey, whenever you put up numbers like he did overall, that'll get you drafted somewhere.
It's funny you mentioned Philadelphia because I watched Dallas Goedert play, and Goddard's not really a deep threat either. They got A.J. Brown, they got Devontae
Right.
Smith for that. That kind of role would fit really well for Terrance Ferguson. That underneath guy, like, hey, to have kind of a bailout option who I can just kind of throw it up to, who might get either. I mean, he's big enough to where there's not really a DB or a linebacker in football that can match up with him size wise. So it's always going to be a mismatch wherever he is on the field. I think he's going to be a solid red zone target. I think Dallas Goedert is a decent comp because, Dallas Goedert wasn't a guy that we really talked about too much, especially early on in his career, but he sat behind Ertz. He learned how to play, and look at how good he is now. And Ferguson, they similar traits. Goddard, for his size, is very, very quick. He's got good hands. He's got good run after the catch. And I think Ferguson mirrors a lot of that, maybe not to his level, because I think Goddard's I think he's 6'7", 275, and he's able to move like that. That's different. Ferguson's not quite there, but I mean, he did it in one of the best offenses in football. And like you said earlier, they love getting the ball to their speedy wide receivers. You only have one football, right? You can only throw the ball to one guy on any given play. And the fact that he's commanding, he had 43 catches, so I'm assuming he probably had somewhere near 50 targets. And that offense is, for a guy who's under the radar, a guy who we're not really talking about a ton, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I like this kid. I think he's, kind of jack of all trades. But like I said, the blocking is what's going to hurt him a little bit. But man, he can do anything else you need him to. So I think that over time, I think Terrance Ferguson will get better and better. But I think I feel confident saying he'll be a day 2 pick, but he might be a high day 2 pick. Just depends on what team needs him. And there's a lot of them, but I think that regardless of wherever he goes, he'll make an impact, I think. And if he's not immediately a starter for that program, then I think he could easily work his way up to it. You might have to even make some 2 tight end sets if you don't have a whole lot already, because of just how athletic, how just physically gifted this guy is, because he can get you what you need. If you need a first down, throw it to him. If you need him to get in the end zone, he can do that too. If you need him to get a nice catch, he can, like I say, he's not going to get there with the blazing speed, man, but he can get it done. But I like this guy overall, and I think he's going to be a really good asset for whoever gets him. But Brian, what's your final thoughts here on Terrance Ferguson before we wrap up the show today?
Well, we said the blocking is the question mark. Obviously, that's where he's listed as the weakest. But if you're going to go to the league and he's going to probably start off as a tight end too, you're going to have to figure out how to block real quick. They're going to throw you in there, especially because most of your 2 tight end, 3 tight end sets are going to be in the red zone. It's going to be in heavy sets. It's going to be short yardage, so you're going to have to come in and learn how to block. I think that could be good for him, kind of trial by fire, throw him in there and say, hey, listen, at the next level, at least for now, this is something you got to do. We're going to show you how to do it. If he gets to a situation like in Philadelphia, because Goddard wasn't the best run blocker in the beginning, he's still not great. But if you're good enough, if you're respectable enough, if you can keep him honest with it, you know what I mean? It's like in the NBA, like, hey, I don't need you to shoot 48% from 3, but can you shoot 35 to where they have to come out and guard you? Can they think that, hey, he's in there, he could run, because that makes that little play action, those little pop passes a lot better, and that's probably going to be his bread and butter, at least early on. But everything else is there. The speed is there. The size is there. The hands are there. The run after the catch is very, very good for a tight end, especially his size. So a day 2 guy, a day 3 guy, I don't know if he really sneaks into day 3, but some team's going to get him and they're going to say, hey, listen, we like this kid. We can work with him and we think he can help us win football games.
Yeah, I like this kid. I mean, I like, he's done his work all his time at Oregon. He's gotten better and better. So I think hopefully that will translate to the NFL with whoever drafts him. Whoever does, you're getting a really good player, I think. So we'll see what happens here. But hey, Brian LaBelle, my co-host for today on all today's shows. Appreciate you, man, coming on this week talking about all these prospects we've done. If you want to check out any of the other ones that me and Brian have done, go check out our channels on Facebook and YouTube, and also go download a podcast. You can listen to audio versions over there as well. But hey, I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers, guys. Go out there, enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you again next week on another live NFL Draft Prospect Special.